meditative thought prior to the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is held in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. The news media has been notified, and a copy of the agenda has been made available to the public. The meeting is open to the public, and the public is welcome to attend in person. All persons wishing to attend by virtual means may do so via YouTube Sumter School District Board meetings and Sumter School District Facebook page. Our vision: the Sumter School District is committed to educating, empowering, and enriching the lives of all students to reach their full potential. And our mission: Sumter School District is committed to providing a safe, nurturing, and high-quality educational environment that supports diversity and equips students for local and global success. I'm Ralph W. Canty, Senior, Area 3. I serve as chairman. Bonnie S. Disney, Area 9, serves as vice chairman. Sean T. Reagan, Area 5, serves as clerk. Sherry White, Area 7, and welcome back. We have missed you. So good to have you back. Area 7 is our parliamentarian. Daniel Palumbo, Area 1. Brittany English, Area 2. Tara Kaiser Johnson, Area 4. Matthew Mac McLeod, Area 6. Jeff Zell, Area 8, who is not physically present with us tonight because he is battling some issues with a cold, but I think he is joining us. He is here. All right. And Tech Sergeant Kirsten Weidman, our Sheriff or Air Force Base representative. Dr. William T. Wright Jr. serves as our superintendent, and Ms. Shantae A. Scott is the administrative manager. It is my pleasure as chair to call this meeting to order and to take a moment as the year winds down to thank the superintendent, the district office staff, and every single employee in this district for the hard work done throughout this year to promote education and to make our district a strong, viable, and healthy district. We pray for every student and for their families, and that this Advent season will be merry and bright and full of opportunity and hope. With those few words, the meeting is called to order. The agenda stands before you for approval. However, if there are no objections, it will so stand. So be it. Item 3, public participation. Sarah Williams.
Good evening, board. We, the public, would like to work with the school board, but you guys have made that very impossible. And when I say impossible, I've been doing this a long time. The communication, your committees, you have hidden agendas that don't interest the best for the children. This is going to be short and sweet. So, my advice going into the Christmas holidays, to think about the public people reach out. There's a lot of people on that Sumter community page, and they say a lot of stuff. No, I don't comment all the time, but sometimes I do. Last but not least, this is personally to the board. I do not appreciate board members calling Patty Wilson and Phil Leventis to discuss me. I am grown. I answer to and for myself. Patty is not my mother. Phil Leventis is not my father. So if any of you board members have any concerns about me or need any questions asked, please, by all means, call me. And if you don't have my number, you can get it from Bonnie Disney. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Williams. Item 4, board communications. 4.1, announcements.
Mr. Chair, on this past Saturday, I don't know if you were going to share, Mr. McLeod, but we had an opportunity to participate in the Pinewood Community Parade, in which myself and Mr. McLeod participated inside of the parade. And the community came out with great support, and we had a nice time. Also, I needed to report that on behalf of myself and I think 3 other additional board members, we had the opportunity to travel to Charleston for the delegate assembly, where we participated with the South Carolina School Board Association. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
I'd like to share that I had the opportunity to attend on December the 4th, the Sumter High School Fine Arts Program. And I know that our committee includes the Fine Arts Program. It was really, really, really good. They had the chorus, show choir, the orchestra, and the band, and the 3 directors that are there. And I had to say, it reminded me of professional programs that I've gone to in Columbia. Our students are extraordinary, and the Fine Arts Program was an example of that. We also had the opportunity to go to the Teacher of the Year banquet, and I want to commend our district for putting on a very wonderful program for the Teachers of the Year. And then last of all, we were able to go, and I know, Dr. Wright, you may want to mention this also, the Sumter High School Fall Hall of Fame induction, and I know you and your wife were there also. And just very shortly, this involved extraordinary athletes who have made their name in the world of sports, in baseball, football, etc., and their coaches or community members. And and I believe, Dr. Wright, you would agree, there were times when the coach was introducing the athlete, and it was just a tearjerker for both the inductee and for the coach. And one was calling the other son, and the other was calling the coach father. It was extraordinary moving. And my point is, as coaches, as teachers, as leaders in this school district, we are imprinting on our students and our athletes in a way we may not see for 10, 15 years. And we must remember that sometimes we get discouraged, and sometimes we don't know that we're making an impact, but we are. And so let's continue. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I had the privilege to go out and visit a few schools the last couple of weeks, and I want to thank Mr. Campbell over at Oakland Elementary School. He's doing a great job with the facilities and the resources that he has out there, where he's trying to upgrade, where there's actually interactive system that I'm very curious, because I've been looking at it for a while, and that it's about to be set up, and I think he's going to invite Dr. Wright and myself to come back out to go see it. I also went out to actually Mr. Zell and I got the chance to go out to Lakewood to see Lakewood High, and Dr. Wright gave us a tour. Miss Maggie Wright out there gave us a tour of the facilities. Some concerns that we're going to get along with you, and then went out to see Dr. Norton over at High Hills Elementary School, and she's doing a wonderful job out there, actually promoting their Leader in Me program. Actually, all 3 schools out there are doing great. They're teaming up. I think that's one of the reasons why they're getting increases in their scores out there. So, and then lastly, I got the chance to do, I guess it's the first time we did the Right Start, right? Tech Sergeant Waldman. I went out to Shaw Air Force Base to introduce basically the school district to the new airmen that are coming to the base, and to try to promote and to answer any questions that their parents may have about Sumter School District. So it's been a couple of busy weeks, but doing a great job out there, and there'll be more to come.
Okay?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I actually have something today.
Yes.
I have some training that I've coordinated for both the district and military parents, and it is the Military Interstate Children's Compact Commission. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's a lot of really good information in the compact. On Wednesday, December 13th, there's going to be a session for principals at Crosswell Elementary in the multipurpose room at 9:30. Thursday, December 14th, will be for parents, and I have 3 sessions at 7:30, 9, and 3 p.m., and that's going to be on base in the Military and Family Readiness Center. And Friday, December 15th, there will be a virtual training available, which will be at 8:30.
Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Wildman, would you mind repeating the time for the December 13th at Croswell?
Yes, ma'am. That's going to be December 13th at Crosswell Drive Elementary at 9:30 in the
9:30.
multipurpose room.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further announcements? Announcements. 4.2, committee reports and our recommendations.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to give a report on the Curriculum Instruction Assessment Committee. We met December the 6th, and I'd like to read the first part, and then I believe Dr. Wright's going to comment on it later, but at least let me give you this part, please. Dr. McLeod shared the South Carolina Department of Education requirements for the schools that received an overall unsatisfactory score on the 2022-2023 school report card, which was released October 10th, 2023. Sumter School District had 3 schools fall into this category, and they were Cherryville Elementary School, R.E. Davis College Preparatory Academy, and Lakewood High School. As a result of this identification, these schools were required to notify their parents of this status in writing and hold a school-level stakeholder meeting to explain the report card rating, contributing factors, and to discuss the improvement plans developed. And the 3 principals were there at the meeting, and they reported, but I'm going to continue reading. In the case of Cherryville Elementary School, the principal, Ms. Deborah Healy, was hired at the beginning of the current school year, and the assistant principal was just hired October 31st. R.E. Davis College Preparatory Academy is also under new leadership, with veteran principal Ms. Maria Dantzler taking over the leadership role July 1st. During this Curriculum Instruction Assessment Committee meeting, all 3 school leaders shared their current status, their report card rating system metrics, contributing factors to their current status, any changes to those contributing factors, such as fewer vacancies and instructional, their improvement plans. These plans were detailed, measurable, and monitored by district leadership in a continuous 30, 60, 90-day improvement cycle. What became evident during the presentations was student achievement is driven by 2 common factors. Number 1, maintaining stable, high-quality faculty. Number 2, building relationships with students and families and among staff, which creates a positive culture conducive to learning. And I will say, and Dr. Wright will, at his time, like to comment on it. I will say the three principals put their heart and soul into these, and into talking to us as a committee as what they are doing and where their plans are. And I feel very certain that the scores will be improving. Thank you.
Are there any other committee reports? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me all fine?
Yes, sir.
All right. I apologize. I'm a little under the weather, but I just want to give you just a short update on the Transportation Committee. We had a meeting last week where it was presented to this committee where the district is devised a plan for an aggressive 16-day recruiting effort. I can't recall exactly what it was called, but it's very intensive, and they're really taking this, putting a lot of effort towards it, and so I'm very thankful for that. And then the second thing is the district also just posted the transportation director position, and I did confirm it is up and on the district's website, and so we should expect hopefully a lot of interest, and hopefully we can get us a transportation director in the very near future. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And hope you feel better.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Committee reports. Committee reports. Committee reports. We move on. To the superintendent's report. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Trustees. I want to begin tonight by following up on the Curriculum and Instruction Committee fines, if you will, that we had. As Madam Vice Chair has stated, I was present at that meeting and took the time to capture some thoughts here that I think are important for us to share. Mrs. Disney encouraged me to talk about this, so I'll do it really quickly, as quickly as I can. So, of course, we heard from the three principals, as was already stated. They gave us some amazing presentations that show, in my opinion, that they understand the assignment and are working diligently to improve the schools. And we know in the case, as Madam Vice Chair said, 2 of the 3 schools have new principals there. The board would remember that we had pretty intense conversation about those moves, and we certainly feel like those schools are headed in the right direction. Here's what we learned. Presented by Cherryvale Elementary, we learned that while our excellent and good schools typically did not have teacher vacancies, our underperforming schools often do. And so one of the charges for us is we must find ways to attract people to do the work in these schools, which is unique in nature. So to be clear, work in Cherryvale and R.E. Davis and Lakewood is a bit different than the work that goes on in Alice Drive and Hillcrest. It's different clientele, different work, different. So we have to be very insistent upon making sure that we find ways to attract people to do the work in the schools that we're looking to improve. Creative scheduling, we heard the principal talk about taking the wealth that she had, the teachers that were doing work really well, and spreading them across grade levels and making them subject specific to affect learning on a greater scale, which is often a good strategy in terms of spreading the wealth. And then leadership that understands the assignment. The principal stated that she and the assistant principal both are elementary school people. Therefore, they understand the uniqueness of the elementary curriculum and the needs of K-5 students and teachers. As a superintendent, while I have a secondary background personally, I understand the need to ensure that elementary schools are served by, quote, elementary people. At-risk schools and communities, I hope we all know this, need more resources proportionally speaking. So if we really want to improve at-risk schools, wherever they are, we need to be prepared to ensure that they have more resources proportionally speaking. R.E. Davis, got a new principal there. We believe that the principal's skill set is more in line with the uniqueness of the school's needs. The uniqueness of the school, it is measured both as an elementary and a middle school. Want to be clear about that. R.E. Davis is the only school in our district that is measured by 2 grade level designations. So it is measured and accounted for, if you will, as an elementary school and as a middle school. Okay? Vacancies were an issue there. There were 12 vacancies last year, 12 teacher vacancies last year. That number is now down to 3. Those vacancies are PE, music, and 1 middle school English. So we're in much better shape in terms of having teachers in the classroom than we were. We have a lot of alternative pathways there that we're looking at assessing and figuring out how to support that work. We have to work on belief systems. The principal told us that getting people to believe that we can get better and that how critical that is for children. So we have to believe that we can get better and then start working towards it. They are also in the process of partnering with what I calling for lack of a better expression, partnering with higher performing schools in the district. So we're collaborating and sharing best practices across the district to help teachers and students at R.E. Davis become better. The principal also discussed, and this was kind of eye-opening to the superintendent, never really thought about it this way. R.E. Davis actually serves 10 school grades, 10. Pre-K, kindergarten, and then 1st through 8th grade. So if we count that up, that is actually 10 grades of children. So that makes a unique process. So as we're looking to staff that school properly, we now are going to look at it through that lens. So the board will be receiving probably some recommendations very shortly about some additional thoughts that we have around that. She has also implemented a 30 for 30 group, which is a meeting with students to give them a voice in what they're experiencing and what they're seeing. Because we do understand that part of school improvement is understanding the needs of school. And then she also talked about all of us are now in the business of marketing our schools, and so there's some work going there with that. At Lakewood High School, we talked about vacancies. There are a significant amount of vacancies. However, they are doing very well when it comes to multilingual learner scores. So that is certainly something that we can build on. We also know very clearly that graduation rate issues have been an issue at that school. However, we have uncovered some discrepancies in the way those figures were calculated and tracked internally. So we've got some corrective actions in place to fix that, and we heard about those corrective measures. So we believe that coupled with attention to having people complete courses and actually graduate, we think we'll see a rise in that because of those twofold things. College and career ready scores, there's some work that needs to be done there, but there are discrepancies across the state when it comes to that data. In fact, we know now that if the calculation formula that is going to be used for next school year were used for this school year, every school in our district would have performed better than it currently is. So there's some calculation issues. There is some reliance upon scores from 3-4 years ago to calculate current formulas. The public answer that I'll give is the way high school accountability has been calculated the past few years is a mess. And so we're hoping that, and we believe that it'll be some benefits there as well. We are increasing the use of formative and summative assessments. Formative, when I first arrived, I talked about doing that because we all know that formative assessment gives us real-time data that then informs future needs. Identifying and tracking students needing CCR credentials for completing segments, we're doing some additional work there. We know that there is an attendance issue, particularly at Lakewood High School. Most of our children out there are interested in working and doing other things. And so we are looking at and examining, starting to examine. I won't call it alternative schooling because we get that mixed up sometimes with alternative schools. But we're looking at flexible school offerings. That's probably a better way to say that. So making the school day flexible when and if possible. So we're starting to look at those extended days, early start times, things of that nature that make school a little bit more accessible, if you will, to students who have other interests. We also were asked a question, how do we motivate children? So one of the answers to that is, in today's society, one of the answers that we provided is that we have to ensure that children have as many options as we can provide. So flexible schooling, flexible school offerings would be an example of that. And we've got some examples here in the state where schools are already doing that. So we'll look at those models and see if that works for us. It is absolutely my expectation that teachers collaborate and share best practices inside and outside of the school environment. We have to find out what's working and then work to make it work for us. And true school improvement only comes from that. There was also a brief discussion about a truancy officer. One of the board members that served on the committee was looking for information concerning that. And then lastly, we talked about the code of conduct. As we have heard, discipline incidents are down across our district. I'll say that again. Got data as of tonight. Discipline incidents are down across our district. And while a code of conduct won't eliminate all issues, but the consistent implementation of one will help to ensure that students and staff know what to follow. As we stated, we'll continue to monitor and update the code of conduct as needed. During second semester, we're going to begin to pull a team together of principals, APs, and teachers to determine what's working and what needs to be reviewed and tweaked. But we heard from all three principals that the code of conduct is working. And as a now retired administrator once told me as a brand new assistant principal, discipline is not an exact science. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to switch to my around the district. I promise you it won't be as long as the presentation just was, but I need to get through this. Sumter High School honored a legacy of excellence on Saturday. Congratulations go to Carl Baker, Gregory Blanding, Pittsburgh Steelers player, that's hard for me to say, Presley Harvin III, Roderick McDowell, Major League Baseball player Jordan Montgomery, Gary Nelson, Shauna Waters, and Coley White, all for being inducted into the Sumter High School Athletic Hall of Fame, which occurred on Saturday evening. It was a wonderful, wonderful occasion, and we're proud of those folks. Last Tuesday, we recognized our outstanding teacher leaders at the annual Teacher of the Year banquet, where those in attendance unmasked the potential of teacher leadership. Congratulations once again to District Teacher of the Year, Kelly Howard, and all of our campus teachers of the year. Congratulations also in order to Jennifer Wolf, who's Ebenezer Middle School's librarian. She was named a Regional School Librarian of the Year winner by the South Carolina Association of School Librarians. The purpose of this award is to recognize school librarians who have made an outstanding contribution to school libraries in South Carolina by building an exemplary library program and serving as active members of the association. Exemplary library programs are those defined as reflecting the themes of collaboration, leadership, and technology integration, as outlined in National School Library Standards for Learners. Congratulations also are in order to the following students for submitting winning entries in the Mayor's Christmas Card Contest. Front cover, Maxime Monsonaguda from Alice Drive Elementary. The inside was Haley Johnson from Manchester Elementary. Kindergarten honorable mentions, Margot Kaylee Raymond from Kingsbury Elementary. Second grade, Benson Griffin, Manchester Elementary. Third grade, Olivia Johnson, Manchester Elementary. Fourth grade, Madison Mooneyham from Wilder Elementary. Fifth grade is Darielle Lesane from R.E. Davis College Preparatory Academy. Sixth grade is Xavion Dinkins from Furman Middle. Seventh grade, Lily Kiggins from Hillcrest Middle. Our shining stars were announced during the annual opening ceremony of the Fantasy of Lights. The official award ceremony will be held December 19th at the beginning of the City Council meeting. Also today, our Crestwood High School Choral Ensemble performed for the Rotary Club today at USC Sumter. And would like to take this opportunity to announce that there will be a video forthcoming showcasing our school district. It's a collaborative effort with our school district and the Sumter item. We had a delay in the presentation of it to include some things, some additional things, but that will be forthcoming. We're looking forward to using that as a major marketing tool as we move forward. And lastly, Sumter School District will be closed December 21st through January 3rd for winter break. Employees return January 4th and students return January 8th. And on behalf of my family and me and the 2,000 or so employees and the 14,000 plus students of the Sumter School District, I'd like to wish everyone a joyous holiday filled with relaxation, happiness, and great memories. Mr. Chair, members of the board, that concludes the Around the District for December 11, 2023.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Get ready for the next section now, aren't you? Yes, sir. Come right up. At this time, we are ready for the presentation of the school year 24-25 calendar, and that will be done by our Chief Human Resources Officer, Dr. John Kumas.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. Good evening, Chairman Dr. Canty, Vice Chairman Ms. Disney, and other distinguished members of the board. You should have already received also a copy of it, and there's one I believe Ms. Scott is presenting up on the board for you. This is the draft proposed calendar for the 2024-2025 school year. On October the 23rd, our calendar committee met. Some of these folks are volunteers. Some were asked to participate in order to get a good cross-section of teachers, counselors, administrators who represent our elementary, middle, and high schools, and folks at the district office as well. The committee consisted of 40 people. The committee really considered how the calendar affected each level and how they were really a good group of folks to work with. As you see, the proposed calendar, teachers will begin on July the 25th for 5 days of in-service. Students begin on August the 1st. We would have a staff development day on August, which is a half day, on August the 30th. Then Labor Day on September the 2nd. A staff development half-day on October the 10th. An in-service / work day on October the 11th. And then a fall holiday or break on the 14th and the 15th. This coming year, we will be observing the election day, which is observed every other year. So on the 24-25 calendar, we'll be observing election day on November the 5th, Veterans Day on November the 11th, and this will take us into the Thanksgiving break, the November the 25th through the day, in-service day on the 20th of December. And then we'll have 9 days off, beginning on December the 23rd and resuming on Friday, January the 3rd for teachers and staff, and January the 6th for students. The 3rd will be an in-service day, in-service work day for teachers. This will allow us to end the semester and in testing before the holiday. When we come back, again, students will start on the 6th. Martin Luther King holiday on January the 20th. We'll have a staff development half day on February the 13th, followed by an in-service work day on February the 14th, and then another holiday break on the 17th. That takes us into March, where it's a staff development half day on the 14th, and then that leads us into our spring break and a Good Friday break. So in April, the break would start on the 14th and go through the 21st. This takes us into May, which we will have half days on May the 21st and the 22nd, an in-service work day for staff on the 23rd. End of school would be on that 22nd for students. And this would allow us to end the year prior to the Memorial Day on the 26th. We've recounted our days. We have our 10 in-service work days. The committee felt that this was the best calendar for next year to present. Any questions? I know I went through it fairly fast, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
Dr. Coombs, did you say it was a 9-day break for Christmas?
Yes, sir. It's a 9-day winter break for Christmas that year because of the election day. We had to move the one election day. And if we started earlier, that means we would have to back the calendar up, and the students would actually start July the 30th, the end of July. And we felt that was just, even if it was 1 or 2 days, it was just, didn't want to start school in July.
Mr. Chair, I just got a question. Was there any way to, I mean, that's a long time, to where we could move it around to give the whole week? Because I think I probably talked to you about Florence does kind of like the whole week in October, cut down either November week or the Christmas week. Is there any way to move that around to where they can have the full week in October?
It was actually presented to the committee and to see if they wanted to move those days in November, the Thanksgiving break. They did not want to lose the Thanksgiving break. They'd rather take the 2 days off in October and keep their week long for that Thanksgiving November break and then the Christmas break. Yes, sir, they didn't want to.
As a point of clarity, most of the districts that do the
week-long that you're referring to in October do not have a week-long Thanksgiving week, so. Right, so in our case, our folks preferred to have it during the Thanksgiving break, because that kind of broke up the monotony, so. We asked that question, Mr. Palumbo, to try to figure out, so.
Yeah, 'cause to me, it was feel like a pretty good winter break. October, kind of almost spends it out a little bit.
Yes, sir, we did. We definitely addressed it. They wanted that week for travel, and a lot of them travel.
And I think Florence does a year-round school as well, so.
Mr. Chair. Dr. Kimmis, spring break, you said it was April 18th through the 25th,
No, sir, the 14th through the 21st.
14th through the 21st,
Yes,
and then
sir.
but the print says 18th through 25th. That just
Who has it?
if you go to April, the print says 18th through the 25th, and then the calendar, the highlighted part says 14th through the 21st.
All right, yes, sir, I'll get it corrected.
Okay.
It is the 14th through the 21st.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any further questions? If not, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we're moving on to 5.3, Office of Academics. We'll be doing a presentation on the Institute of Innovation and Careers proposal. That will be presented by Dr. Jada McLeod.
Good evening, Chairman Canty, Vice Chair Disney, members of the board, our community and staff with us. Actually, I'd like to ask Dr. David Laws Jr. to assist me. He is actually Director of CTE and Innovation. He is the one that presented this presentation the first time. He is the person that was the boots on the ground doing this research, and I feel he is the person that needs to provide the details for this presentation.
Good evening. Protocol already been established. Want to just appreciate this opportunity to present to you all this evening. I present to you tonight a proposal that is another opportunity for Sumter School District to lead. As with any great solution, this proposal can be made stronger with stakeholders' input and with collaboration. The proposal is for a new Advanced Technical and Innovation Institute. Just imagine this sign on Oswego Highway on both sides, lighting up the highway for everyone to see. So I have to use a little bit of imagination with me tonight. So the proposal is, well, let me provide a little bit of background first. There has been a national and a statewide focus to prepare more students to be career ready. We've, throughout our tradition, have been always focusing on preparing students to be college ready. So now the focus is to be college and or career ready. And also on our district strategic plan, we have a goal to prepare 80 students by 2027, 80% of our graduating students to be college or career ready. And increasingly, we have an industry demand for credentialed graduates. We have a lot of folks that college is not the path they need to take in order to be successful, and industry have shared on numerous occasions from the State Department's national level as well as the local district of the need to have students who have credentials. In our current technology center, infrastructure is not going to be adequate for long-term planning because we cannot add any more innovative program because the facility is at maximum use as far as space is concerned. So this is an opportunity to maximize also the facility use that we have currently within our building. So this diagram, I know you may have it already more visual, closer to you. If you look at the blue, those are the demand for the major industry for credentials, the light blue. So as we plan, and this is coming from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the greatest demand is for employees with industry-recognized credentials. They need to be able to do tasks on job. And if you notice that, even though there are some demand for education, there are some demand for students to have education certificate in all of those different major industries, but the greatest demand is for students or employees to have credentials. Next slide. So this is the idea. With any change, is a lot of anxiety, a lot of things that have to be discussed. But this purpose of this idea is to repurpose Chestnut Oaks Middle School into the new Advanced Technical and Innovation Institute, and to rezone the Chestnut Oaks students and the 7th and 8th grade students to the remaining middle school. To repurpose the Career Center, current Career Center, into the District Professional Development Center and Information Technology Department. And I know there are going to be a lot of questions, but I'm going to go through the information. I'm sure you're jotting down questions, you may already have them, but I'm going to give you the information and the rationale behind those as we proceed through. Next slide. The benefits is approximately $1 million cost saving per year. So I've looked at this extensively over several years, and actually this presentation have been revised since the first being presented. So a lot of numbers have changed, and I made those corrections. I may not have made corrections in some of the notes, but these slides have been revised. So it's over $1 million cost savings with consolidating personnel from the school impacted. It creates a new, first-of-its-kind, state-of-the-art Advanced Technical and Innovation Institute. Provides space for new and expanded program offerings. You're going to see some of those listed in slides to come. And opportunities also for students to take all of the required courses that they need to take in order to graduate at this, we have heard the word technical high school, and I work with all of the CTE schools throughout the state, and we don't have none of our career centers right now are technical high school. They don't offer the courses required for the students to graduate by attending that center as a standalone. And what I'm proposing tonight is a version of a technical high school, but I just didn't say the word technical high school, not for any particular reason, but to be innovative. And then I used to serve back in the 1990s as principal at Chestnut Oaks Middle School, so I was very familiar of the campus. It's a mini college-like campus, and it will serve as a great atmosphere for a innovative institute. Currently, there are 357 students enrolled at Chestnut Oaks Middle School, but it has a capacity of 1,125, so only 32% of the school is being used currently to house students. The Technology Center has a capacity of 400 kids, 400 students in the different programs that we have there. And to increase that by offering a new center would be over 281% opportunity of increase in students who can participate in career preparation opportunities. Next slide. It will increase the use, as you can see, of the capacity of middle schools by rezoning students, and I know a lot of passion may be involved with that word of rezoning, but in order for us to be able to get the maximum amount of use out of all of our schools. If we rezone those students impacted, it reduced teacher vacancies because some redundancy will be able to fill those teacher vacancies position. And I will be able to increase the CTE program offering for all middle school students. Right now, with the enrollment at R.E. Davis in 7th grade is, I think around 40, I have the numbers here. In 7th grade, 44 students. In 8th grade, 35 students. Those students can only get one CTE teacher, so they have limited exposure to career and technical programs, because altogether it's right at 79 students attending at R.E. Davis Middle School, at the Preparatory Academy in the middle school section. This proposal will also provide needed space for IT. If you bear with me, we'll show you a diagram where there'll be a space for parents to come and pick up one-to-one devices, turn-in devices, a place for shipping and receiving, a place to store, placing one technology equipment in one location. So this proposal is impacting more than one thing. It creates a new professional development. Part of the current Career Center will be the Professional Development Conference Center, where we can have breakout room, conference room, a place where the innovation staff will be housed. And we have the opportunity to host state and national conferences here in Sumter. We're talking about rebranding, re-imaging who we are in Sumter. We have the opportunity to host technology as well as content professional development here in Sumter. So, the Advanced Technical Innovation Institute, preparing students for a global society. So the vision is to have, if you're going to see in a minute, the layout of the campus is School of Applied Academics, School of Engineering, School of Industrial and Public Safety, School of Health and Human Services. And once again, this is the draft proposal. A lot of other things could be added. Next slide. In the School of Applied Academics, we will have a hall that will encompass English, language arts, teacher, mathematics, special science, special services, employability skill. We will even have a space for students to actually take dual enrollment classes on campus with Morris College, Central Carolina Technical College, and the University of South Carolina, Sumter. And we can also expand it to have some virtual options also added in the School of Applied Academics. In the School of Computer Science and Engineering, if you see that Deborah asterisks, those are courses that we could add, but we currently have aerospace engineering. Looking towards the future of having some courses for artificial intelligence, AI. We have cybersecurity, esports, gaming, introduction to manufacturing, integrated production technology, and mechatronics. In the School of Industry and Public Safety, we're looking at automotive collision and repair, automotive technology, electric vehicle technology will be a new one, green technology, firefighting, law enforcement, and welding. In the School of Health and Human Services, looking at having an additional, that's why the actresses are there. We have currently certified nursing assistant CNA, but we need an additional course because we have a waiting list every year for this particular program. Cosmetology and culinary arts. So the major expense. In order to do this, even though the campus is large and have a lot of space, we will still need to have a building for the industrial type things to include auto technology, auto collision, firefighting, and welding. We'll need a separate building on the backside of Building 400 to be able to accommodate these workspace, industry-type workspace that we would need to put in place. Equipment removal and reinstallation from the current Career Center into the new institute, and to do some renovation to the area that will serve for culinary arts. And the building is about 50 by 200 feet. And I provided you just a sample of what that building will look like just for doing research and what were required in order to accommodate those programs. The garage bay doors on the front side will face the football field. The rear entry doors will face the building 400, and you will see that diagram coming up. And we will have a covered walkway between the two buildings. So this is what it will look like on the inside. To be prepared for industry standard, we will want to have the lifts, just like it would be if you were to go get your car fixed or repaired. We need to have, for auto technology repair, we need to have the lifts. We have some of those lifts already that can be moved and reinstalled, so we don't have to purchase new equipment. We want it to be inspected, well, it has to be inspected and approved for use for our students to prepare them for industry and to be certified. Next. And then auto body repair, once again, we have some of those equipment. We could move a lot of those equipment over to the new section. The major expense would be some of the exhaust systems and making sure we can get those properly installed in that metal building. Welding, of course, the welding team actually built most of the stuff that they're using in the building, so we have some labor in-house, but nevertheless, the welding would need also for ventilation. They would need to have space to be able to weld and to build products, so, and for storage. And once again, we would need to update the ventilation system, but we'll have an expense to move the items also to the new location. So the name at the top is a little old. That was original and been revised, but this is the layout of Chestnut Oaks Middle School. At the bottom, your bottom right is building 200, and that's where the School of Applied Academics would be. Those classrooms would be for ELA, math, science, social studies, foreign language, whatever the courses we need for the students to be able to graduate. In the middle will be the School of Engineering, and the courses are listed also in the diagram for you to see. And then the School of Industry and Public Safety. And then on the top right would be the metal building, and the walkway, the highlighted green is the walkway that would have to be installed between the existing building and the metal building, so the students can walk on inclement days. They will be able to walk over to the metal building to be able to do lab work. That's what I call it, lab work. And over at the bottom left is what is currently the Related Arts building that will be used for the School of Science and Human Resources. And in all of this thinking also, we have other spaces that could be used, and we always be looking for spaces for middle school sports, and the football field will continue to be used for middle school and other spaces that are needed for practice and sports. The next one, this is what the covered walkway will look like, just kind of giving you an idea to conceptualize it. From the existing 400 building, from the right to the left would be a metal building that they were actually going into to do the actual lab work. And those 5 doors will have to be actually cut into the existing building, so that means LLR will have to approve any modification to that existing building. This is the second option if you don't if we don't install the doors from the classroom directly to the metal building, is to come out of the main door and build a walkway all the way around to the same metal building, but instead of going straight across, to come out and then go in that way. And that just would be having students a little bit more out into the weather, and they will have to walk longer to get over to their particular lab. And the next picture is a sample of what that will look like. Come out, go around under the covered walkway. So I took the liberty of, once again, doing the research, finding out how much the building will cost. The metal building itself is around $120,000 with a 16-foot high ceiling for 50 by 20. That was a quote that's coming off of the building guide. And installation to install wall dividers between the program would be about $100,000. These are rough estimates. And once again, the next one, metal building expense will, for the foundation, about $60,000, delivery, $8,677, windows and doors, $17,354, and the setup, actually put the building up, about $50,000. So, just for the metal building, to get the metal building installed and in place, around $500,000. Other major expenses to consider: utilities to the new building, paved driveway to the new building, construction of the covered walkway, relocating the ventilation system for the equipment that is currently located at the Career Center, and the installation of a new culinary art, state-of-the-art hood and exhaust system, a new sign. If you didn't like my sign, we can pick a sign. A new sign in the front to light up the road, and miscellaneous expenses. The Technology and Professional Development Conference Center will be state-of-the-art professional development center. Superintendent mentioned this is one of his goals, is to have a place where we can hold PD for our teachers and staff, but it can also extend beyond that. These other different entities pay for location fee, and Sumter is centrally located in the state. It'll be a great place to host professional development. It will bring business to our hotels and restaurants. So we have interest in that already for folks to come here to Sumter to host conferences. And central location, once again, for parents and students to be able to receive technology equipment and support. And if you look at the Technology and Professional Development Center, part of it would be for IT and part of it would be for innovation and academics. Cost savings. So how did I come up with that number of $1 million? I looked at the average teacher salaries and benefits, and once again, we will have the immediate impact of being able to help with some of our teacher shortages because we will have larger classrooms. Or the teachers will be reallocated to existing positions, no loss of jobs. Some staff allocation will follow the students, some staff allocation will be used for new programs. Duplicate position will be resolved by attrition. And the result is a very conservative, approximately $957,000 a year in salaries and benefits. One-time major expenses again: contracted service to best determine rezoning, purchase a metal building with bays for the auto collision, auto technology, welding programs, classroom in the classroom will remain in building 400, and the cost we would need to renovate and move the equipment over to the new location. Okay. And number 6 is to, once again, purchase the new sign and change the sign also at the current Career Center. And remove and reinstall the Career Center industrial equipment, pave the driveway to the garage bay, renovate rooms, transfer IT equipment, and providing communication sessions to talk about this plan, whatever the plan is in its final draft or any draft, and being able to correctly communicate that to our stakeholders. I know that was a lot of information, and if there are any questions that I may entertain, I will try the best I can.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
may I first talk to you and ask some questions regarding academics? That seems to be my niche. Before we begin, will you first give us a definition of a technology high school? You and I have been in meetings, other places, and I did hear you say that Kershaw County does not technically have a technology high school. So I need a definition and why, and then I have some questions.
All right, so the technical high school is the understanding of the school being its own high school in the sense that the students will attend there every day for all of their required college required courses, as well as their technical course that they would need in order to be certified in that particular career. A technology or institute or a technology center just only offer the career side. They don't offer any of the academic courses, so the students therefore would have to go back to the home school in order to receive the academic courses that they need in order to graduate. But if you have a standalone technical high school, the students are enrolled there, they attend there. And one of the questions someone asked is, what about sports? They will attend sports in their zone school, their zone high school. The new institute will have clubs and activities, but rather than compete with students' interests in the other areas of athletics, they would just attend their zone school.
Okay, good. So what we're saying is, instead of having to commute to the Career Center from Lakewood High, if the parents chose, or the student chose to have a Career Center, or have be able to take things from the Career Center, they would just move over to that high school. All right. And you said you called it applied academics. Now, I recall in the 90s, we had courses called applied academics. And I taught one. It was called Communications for the Workplace. And the theory was we were going to teach them everything they would need in the workplace, that type of English. And we cut down on reading novels and all of that. The whole landscape changed when the State Department of Education said, whoa, we're going to have standards that apply to every single student in English, math, science. We don't care what level that kid is, they're going to have to master these standards. That's the landscape we live in today. So if those students want to go to this high school, I don't see where they're going to be taking applied academics. They are still going to be hammered with our state standards in English. They're not going to be watered down. They're not going to be just talking about welding. They're going to be reading and writing at the same level as they would in Lakewood, Sumter High, or Crestwood. So, what we're going to be doing, in essence, is creating the fourth high school.
Yes, and to address your point about applied, so the students, I can share the data with you, the students who are enrolled in CTE program, they outperform the rest of the students in math, reading, and science. They have a higher graduation rate and a higher attendance rate. So in the industry, applied mean that they are actually able, is not watered down, is actually more advanced. Our students have to have more skill in the technical institute, advanced technical institute, than they would normally just to get a diploma, because they actually have to not just be able to read, be able to know math, they have to be able to apply the math and read technical manual that is really at a higher level than they would just to pass English 2. So,
All right, but they still are going to be taking the test,
Yes.
the test.
yeah, they're still going to take English 1, English 2,
Biology.
but they're going to not only just take it, they're going to be working with those CTE teachers to apply those core concepts in those labs. So when I say the school applied academics, it's not that the course titles are going to change. It's they're going to learn the content, and then they're going to apply it in actual application.
Now, so if you have we have, our districts are very spread out. Now, how are we going to bus kids from all over the county to this one high school? Rezoning doesn't cut it there.
So
Because if a kid wants, somebody, there are four corners. That's not about rezoning. That's about choice. That's totally about student choice there. If they want to go to that high school, no matter where they live,
Correct.
they have that choice, but we've got to bus them there. Right?
Yes, ma'am. And there's several models to do that, but, you know, this is the draft. It's not going to be all inclusive tonight, but that will be one of those collaborative discussion of the best way to do that. There are models where they actually go to the zone school, and the zone school have a bus that goes from there directly to the technical center, or there's a bus that goes from the house to the technical high school, because they're coming from all over the county. So there's many different models that could be examined to find the best method if we choose to do this. But that will require more research and the best approach to do it if this is the desire of the
Okay,
board.
so we're still going to be busing those kids just like we are now.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, and, well, and, right. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Dr. Laws or Dr. McLeod, at the beginning of the presentation, I think the name, and I just need clarification. There were two names on the presentation. The first one, I guess, is this, what reads Advanced Technical and Innovation Institute. And then when we got to like slide number, I think 1823 with the maps, there was a different name. Can you clarify what that was?
When I did the original presentation, this map was in there, and that was the name that I had at the original presentation. But this is an actual PDF, so I would not a painting. So I didn't change it there. In other words.
Okay, so the original name would be what you had at the beginning of the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's the recommendation. It's nothing else.
Okay. And I can remember being on the board previously when this came before the previous board. So since then, have they had any conversation with the folk that are in the work, such as, I guess, Dr. Miller, who's over the Career Center? Have you all been collaborating with those persons?
Yes, sir. Even before I presented to the first time, I had collaboration with her, but it has modified because we had some of the programs that were originally asterisk changed to actually being implemented. But we just kind of had to shift out one program that we would love to get back. You know, we trade out diesel for aerospace engineering, so we had to trade out because we're limited in space. But yes, we have had, not just with Dr. Miller, but I continue to collaborate with all of our neighboring districts. I actually serve as the facilitator for Kershaw, Lee, Clarendon, and Sumter for their all of the CTE courses. So I am the liaison for the entire Santee region.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
When was this program first presented?
Now, it was probably 3 years ago, I want to say. 3 years ago, in executive session, wasn't public.
3 years ago?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was the response of the board at that time?
It was well-received information. It was well-received. I didn't get any pushback as far as not liking it. It was well-received, but it was, we went through some changes during that time, so, but it was well-received.
Was the administration given the go-ahead to develop the plan or not?
At my level, I wasn't privy to what was the next step. I had inquired on the next step, but I wasn't on the executive team, so I have to defer to Dr. McLeod.
Well, I'm quite curious. I'm quite curious as to why this report comes up at this time.
Me too, Mr. Chair.
This timing, to me, raises a serious question. When we're at the onset of a study of our whole system in terms of facility usage, zoning, busing, etc., as we begin to talk about the vision for the future for this district, how is it that all of a sudden this is now on the table?
I'm not sure how it's on the table. All I know is I received the email stating that the board requested it, and we're providing what the board requested.
The board requested this?
Yes, sir.
This board requested this report.
Yes, sir.
Who requested it?
I
Who
requested it.
Huh?
I requested it. And as a board member, we can request whatever we want to request and have a discussion about it.
You requested it. The board did not request it. As a board member, you requested it.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's good to know.
I wasn't privy to which board member. I was just told that the board had requested it.
Furthermore, when are we privy of who requests what anyway? Don't you request stuff? And other board members? We all request stuff.
Let's get to the issue. Let's get to the issue. We have a committee in place that has been empowered to study this whole matter of technical education, whatever. And anything of this sort at this point should have gone to the committee rather than coming directly to this board. That should have been the process.
Mr. Chair, is Mr. Reagan not a member of that committee?
Yes.
Okay, now, I'm not arguing with anybody, but it's my understanding when one of us makes a request for information, that it has to be delivered to all members. Now, I don't know about in presentation form, that maybe it should have gone to the committee, but as a member of the committee,
That's the point I'm making, Ms. White.
yeah, Dr. Reagan has the right to ask for it.
And,
Yes.
and he had the right to ask.
Right, okay.
I'm not questioning that. But if he's on the committee, the committee should have dealt with this before it coming here. All right. Dr. Laws and our beloved academic chief, please forgive me, all right? But I'm a little anxious about what has happened here. Please forgive me if I've been disorderly in any fashion, because I did not intend to be, okay? Any further questions?
Dr. Kenny, I have a question kind of to piggyback on something Ms. Disney asked. I want to make sure that I understand. I see the classrooms for math, ELA, science, and this kind of thing. This is a high school. They have to take the same test that every other student, high school student has to take. They will receive a diploma if they earn it, and the path that they're taking, whether it's welding or whatever, the certification for that as well. So it's a dual diploma certification situation.
The certification is industry recognized.
Right.
The diploma is supplemental.
It is the same, okay, I just wanted to make sure that
Yes.
that was clear.
Any other questions?
Can you explain what green energy is that's on this map right here? Do you know what that?
Green energy is renewable energy such as using wind, vegetation to produce energy. So it is solar, all of those things.
Okay, thank you.
And we actually have a completed program in that.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions, Dr. McLeod, both of you, thank you so very much for the report.
Ready for the next one, sir? We're ready for the next.
Yes, sir.
All right. At this time, we will proceed to item 5.4 on the agenda, which is from the Office of Operations. Mr. Samuel Myers, Executive Director of Operations, along with some other members of the team, will give us a 45-day report.
Good evening. We know the value of attendance throughout the school district, and the request has been made for a report, a brief report on the 45th day of the school year. We have Ms. Joyce Perkins, who is our district attendance coordinator, and we have Ms. Barth, who is our district Power School administrator. They're both going to give a brief presentation, and I'll turn it over to them.
Good evening to those of you who have met me formally. I am Joyce Perkins, and I've been serving as the coordinator of attendance for the past 2 years. And so we've been asked or tasked with just to give a brief overview of our 45th day funding report. And alongside me is Ms. Barth. We work hand in hand. She's the district Power School administrator. So all things attendance and Power School work together so that we can provide as best that we can accurate reporting to not only for our district but the State Department. So just a brief overview. The South Carolina Education Finance Act of 1977 allows us to compute. The primary purpose of the pupil accounting system is to classify each pupil into one of the pupil classifications described in the EFA, which is our Education Finance Act. It's based on our average daily membership, and that is a count of students that is taken at different times of the year, which is the 45th day, and we do our final reporting on the 135th day of the year. And this is a measure to satisfy the local, state, and federal data collection needs, and also to ensure that school districts are adequately funded or according to the student population. So if you would just go to the actual report, Ms. Scott, and just click on the hyperlink. It didn't. Go back. One more. It should have allowed you to click on the hyperlink. If you click on the title, does it not open the report? There it is. Okay. Okay, what you see is a lot of numbers, but this is the actual 45th day reporting that is submitted to the South Carolina Department of Education, and it just gives us the average daily membership for each grade level for regular ed students, and then each grade level for every classification of a student. So for instance, briefly, for kindergarten, there were 36,200 students, but the average daily membership was 804. So if you come down the column under 00, the average daily membership was 893 for all classifications of students. So I'll give you a moment to take a look, and you can ask us any questions about the report. At the 45th day, we had an average of 90% average membership for all grade levels. Okay? You can continue. Next slide, please. So here's a snapshot of the past 5 years for our average daily membership at the 45th day. From 2019 to 2020, we had 15,706 students at the 45th day. And then each year, as we progress, you can see the numbers in red are the decrease in the amount of students. So for our 22-23-24 school year, we had an average daily membership of 13,681, and from the previous years, we were at a loss of 593 students. So just as an attendance coordinator, what are some of the reasons that could have caused a decrease in our membership? Of course, you know, we have the residual effects from the COVID-19. We have a large number of students that are being affected with mental health. I receive parents wanting homebound services for students almost daily for generalized depression and anxiety. The residual effects of COVID-19 also, research shows students lost at least a year of learning loss. We are also competing with our local education agencies. We just found out that there was one program that has enrolled 144 more students from grades K through 4 for their upcoming school year. And then we have a truancy problem among the district. I looked at our numbers before I came into the session, and we have a total, which is a fluid situation because students move in and out of truancy. Around 700 students are truant. Okay. So just some things that we could increase the enrollment. We want to continue to rebrand our school district, create a culture where our stakeholders, all stakeholders, feel valued and respected. We want to continue to monitor student attendance and continue to identify our at-risk students. We want to work with Dr. Harriet to build our MTSS, which is our multi-tiered support system initiatives in each school, that after we identify our at-risk students, then we can offer interventions. And then we want to continue to remove any attendance barriers. We all know the struggle we're having with our transportation challenges. We want to also to continue to offer student engagement. This is one of the ways that we can motivate our students. We want our students to enjoy while they're learning and take the ownership of their learning. So that was brief. So if you have any questions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
you know, I know all of us are struggling with this, but I would like to put one thing off the table. COVID's omnipresent. That means it's not just Sumter County. And I think we have to look beyond COVID. And I think what we were talking about with our new principals in those schools and some of the ideas that you heard Dr. Wright talk about that they are looking at, but I'd like for us to not continue to say it's COVID, because all of us suffer with that. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I want to just harp on that a little bit because I actually did more research. Actually, if you go back to 2015, 2016, we continuously lost students. So we're almost going on 10 years of losing students every single year. So like what Ms. Disney says is it's not COVID. This started years before that. Partly we need to rebrand, you're right, 100%. But the elephant in the room is it's the parents. We gotta start putting it on the parents to get these kids to school and become parents. So is it maybe a marketing campaign to get these children to get them to school, show them how important, try to get the parents involved? But we really need to look at is making sure the parents are aware that your children are not coming to school, and it's your responsibility. And it is the parents' responsibility, if they have their children, they need to make sure they get their kids to school. So a truancy officer, possibility, that could be the answer, but we really need to start looking at that and make sure it's the parents' responsibility to make sure these kids get into school.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I will piggyback again. The COVID thing, I think, I agree with Ms. Disney. That needs to be put to bed. 22, 23 numbers that were before us in that year, that's when we really came back to school. And we only, my term that I like to use is we're bleeding students. And we only lost 89 students in that year. But then in this year, it's 593. So I think we have a truancy issue. That's one thing. The other is parents placing their children outside of the Sumter School District organization. Okay, so we have a bifurcated problem. Now, truancy, yes, maybe a truant officer would help. We ran into a lot of things, and I think there was a slide too that may support this. We have a lot of more kids with mental health issues, and some of those, based on my research, a lot of these kids are having mental health issues because during COVID, they had no contact with the outside world. And for some kids, managing that return is much more difficult than others. Adults have the same problem. And so in our scores, we saw a difference. And I know firsthand, it's harder to learn when you cannot see somebody's face and they cannot see yours. So I think we have a two-pronged issue here, and it needs to be addressed separately. One question I did have for you, please. You said we had 400 some odd students that are actually considered truant.
It was more near
7, I'm
700,
sorry,
yes.
I wrote down the wrong number. Okay, can you define truant?
Sure. A student is truant if they have 3 unexcused consecutive absences, or if they have 5 or more unexcused absences.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I do have a question. On slide number 6, where you talked about the residual effects of COVID-19, and did you mention a number that we've identified in the district for that bullet point? I know the second one you specifically called out the enrollment. And then I think it was Ms. White who added the fact that students are enrolling in other schools in the area. And then from a truancy perspective, I think it was 7 something.
Unfortunately, I did not identify the number, but I can get that number to Dr. Wright, and he can forward it to you.
Okay, I think that'll help to round out this, the statistic that you have there. And then on slide number 7, where you talk about strategies to increase student enrollment, the second bullet point, the underlying bullet point under bullet point number 2, continue to remove attendance barriers for all students, transportation challenges. I wanted to clarify is this referencing our school buses that pick the students up from home and transport them to school?
I'm representing the bus transportation, but we have a lot of parents who move their who will complete an address affidavit to get their student in a particular school, but not have the transportation to get them to that school. And so that also causes unexcused absentee and truancy as well.
Okay, so it will go back to truancy in a respect
Right.
like that?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to clarify, it wasn't the actual bus transportation?
Not that
picks
alone, no,
up.
that was
Okay,
just an example.
thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I got a question on top of that. So if a parent decided that for transportation issues, is there a way the school district says, okay, we're gonna put you back into your zone so where you can have a bus to pick up your child?
There is a process, yes. If the attendance personnel in that building recognize that a student has high absenteeism or high unexcused tardiness, then they will alert us, and then when we do the investigation and determine that they're attending a school that they're not zoned for based on their residence, then yes, we can request that that student be removed from that school, but we try to do it before the beginning of the second semester.
How often does that happen?
Probably not often enough, but because we try to minimize the disruption of the student's life as much as possible, so not often.
Thank you. And one other thing, also the parents on the opposite side are kind of telling this, it's just like a business. Instead with money, they're pulling their kids and going to other places, as in charter schools, at home, and all that type of stuff. That's also should be a word to us to say, hey, we need to rebrand, figure out what we need to do differently. Communications and marketing I know it's different. It's not normally what a government school does, but we need to start looking at communicating and marketing, not just for teachers, but also for the kids. So to bring them back to our school district. So we need to, I know it's kind of thinking outside the box, but we need to start looking at marketing to our parents to say, come on back. This is what's going on. This is the good stuff, and I haven't seen it. So, and then some other private schools and some other charter schools out there, it's all over the place. You can't miss it. So we need to be able to do the same thing. If we're not doing it, we're not going to see any difference in these enrollment numbers. They're going to keep going down.
Mr. Chairman, to add to that, I think it's time that we, as a district, not just the board, but administration, we need to realize that in this aspect anyway, not in all things, but in this aspect, we need to realize that this is a competition for business, okay? We are not the only game in town. We're not the only game within 4 counties. And therefore, we are competing for the business of teaching the children who live in this county. And instead of seeing transfers to other counties, to charter schools, private, whatever, I would love to be getting requests from parents in Clarendon County that want to send their child here. And so we need to realize that that needs to be our point of view, is we have to compete for the privilege of teaching the children in this county. And it's serious business, and we need to be the ones that can do it better than anybody else. And that needs to be our direction. I believe Dr. Wright knows that and is working on that. I don't think I'm saying anything new or saying that nobody believes this. But that is what we need to realize, that that's how we need to approach this. And we need to provide the better product.
Mr. Chair, I would like to piggyback on what you said. All right. We don't have to try that hard. If you guys had attended the fine arts concert that I did on December the 5th, you would be clamoring to get into schools like that. We are not advertising our fine arts, all our band programs, our art programs. There are things out there that would knock your socks off if you knew that they existed. And we hear parents say, I didn't know they had that. I mean, I don't know if we need to send up balloons or we need to send up banners but we are not advertising what we have. And that's my comment. Thanks.
And Mr. Chair, the one thing is, each school can do something different. It could be a school that does the arts at one of the schools out there. It could be another school like High Hills and Shaw Heights and Oakland, they do Leader in Me. If they branding themselves, that actually pulls, and they can also brag about themselves, like, come to our school. We want you to come here. But that's what you need to do. Each individual school has to come to the point where to rebrand themselves. It could be STEM. It could be anything that is, but that's what the business world is like. Give something to the people is different so they can attract them to come to their schools. So, correct.
Okay. If there are no further questions or comments, I'd like to thank the three of you for a wonderful report. We needed that information and you provided it. We are now better informed as to our numbers. Thanks to you. Okay?
Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, in the form of a transitional statement while Mrs. Spearman is coming, we are diligently working on a marketing campaign, revamping our website. Many of the things that you all have mentioned, we have weekly conversations about how we can pull our footprint forward. I do think it's important also for us to take an opportunity to research a simple way of looking at student enrollment. You just simply compare birth rates in Sumter County to graduation rates in Sumter County, and that'll give you an indication as to the direction in which we're headed. At this time, we're ready for audit presentation. Mrs. Shatika Spearman, our Chief Financial Officer, has a guest, and I think the two of them will make this next presentation.
Good evening, board members. Dr. Wright, we are sitting before you now with the results of our fiscal year 2023 audit. Sitting beside me is our auditor, Brian Nicholson. He's the director at Malden and Jenkins, and he will present those findings and those results, rather, not findings, results of the audit.
Good evening, board, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, Chairwoman, and Superintendent. I have a brief, I've got a few slides I'd like to go over. If you go to the next slide, it's kind of a brief agenda. Go up. Nope. Go to 2 out of 15. We'll start there. So one more. All right, here we go. So I'll go over the engagement team. Obviously, the results of the 2023 audit is the main purpose of this meeting. Some financial trends, some comments, recommendations, and then we'll open it up for any questions. On the next slide, just some informational, an informational slide about Malden Jenkins. We are the independent auditors for the school district. We are located out of Columbia. Myself was the engagement director for the engagement. Mr. Tim Lyons was the quality review partner. And if you go to the next slide, is the results of the 2023 audit. So we conducted our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. We considered the internal control structure for the purpose of expressing our opinion on the district's basic financial statements and not for the purpose of providing assurance on the internal control structure. Our objective was to provide reasonable but not absolute assurance that the basic financial statements are materially correct. We did issue an unmodified or clean opinion on the basic financial statements, so that's the best you can do. What that means is they present fairly in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, and our responsibility does not extend beyond the information contained in our report. We also issued our report on controls over financial reporting and on compliance in accordance with GAS, or government auditing standards. We had no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal control. We had no instances of noncompliance. On the next slide, this is where we talk about the single audit for the district. If a district expends over $750,000 federal expenditures, you are required under the Single Audit Act to have a single audit. This year, the district did qualify as a low-risk auditee, and what that means is we are required to audit at a minimum 20% of the federal expenditures. We actually ended up auditing approximately 63% of the district's total federal expenditures. This year, we audited the child nutrition cluster that had approximately $10.8 million in expenditures, as well as ESSER, which had 16.6. We also issued our, and in doing that, we issued our report on compliance on internal controls over compliance required by the uniform guidance. In that report, we had an unmodified or a clean opinion as well, and there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal controls reported. On the next slide, these are some required communications. I'm not going to spend too much time on these. I do want to say that management used various estimates and judgments. We review those estimates and judgments and deem those reasonable in relation to the financial statements taken as a whole. On the next slide, we received full cooperation with the district, their management and staff. There were no disagreements with management relating to accounting issues or financial reporting matters. There were no past adjustments during the year, and any adjusting journal entries that were posted have been posted and recorded by the district. On the next slide, the main thing I really want to hit here is there was no significant issues discussed with management relating to business conditions, plans, or strategies that may have affected the overall risk of material misstatement as it relates to the financial statements. And our professional standards require that we are independent of the district, and we are independent. So the next slide is just some financial information. So these two graphs, it's kind of hard to see, but the table on the left is revenues and any transfers into the general fund, while the table on the right is expenditures or transfers out. So in 2023, the general fund had approximately $150 million in revenues and transfers. That was offset by approximately $140 million in expenditures and transfers. And that just shows the previous 5 years. On the next slide, you'll see net income for the district from 2019 all the way to 2023. In 2023, and this is just for the general fund, the general fund had an increase in fund balance of $9,761,270. And if you go to the next slide, this is what we kind of call financial leverage. What you like to see is kind of what the district is showing here. As expenditures go up, and you'll see they increase to 138 million. And then you'll see fund balance go up as well. And what you don't want to see is expenditures go up and fund balance go down. It's because you've got the 1 month minimum in unassigned fund balance that the state requires y'all to have. So the district has done a pretty good job in growing its general fund. And I know unassigned fund balance is always a point for reference. So on the next slide, this is just unassigned fund balance for the general fund. So you'll see in the current year, unassigned fund balance grew from 2022 to 2023 approximately 10.5 million. And since 2019, it has grown approximately 40 million in unassigned fund balance. On the next slide, it's just some other comments and other matters. The district was required to implement GASB Statement Number 96, which is subscription-based IT arrangements. It did not have a material effect on the district's financial statements. So if you're one of those that likes to do kind of a side-by-side, you won't be able to spot a material difference. And then the next slide is we do offer free quarterly CPE. It is heavy. It's financially, or it's heavy on the financial side, but it is offered to the finance team as well as the district board as well. And with that, I do want to thank Shatika and her team. They did a great job of getting ready for the audit this year. We were able to issue the audit significantly earlier than last year. And I'm happy to say that everything has been uploaded to the state. The district met the December 1st deadline with time to spare. And we really can't do that without the effort that they do on the front end that allows us to come in and do our job on the back end. So with that, any questions, any comments?
Mr. Chair, I got a couple questions. First, Ms. Spearman, congratulations, great job. It kind of goes along with, again, my point is marketing, because we are battling the public that feel like this district has lost money, and we need to go and battle that and put out the marketing and brand ourselves, saying what this is, of course, how many years now we've been in out of fiscal problems? Well, we were a few years ago with fiscal issues.
What did you show? You showed 5 years.
I showed 5
Yeah.
years. So going back to 2019. So
Yeah. So that's my whole point, is they're still going back further than that, and we don't have anything out there in marketing showing how well right now the budget is. And that's something that needs to be put to rest. And I mean, you need to take responsibility as in the good stuff too. So this is something that the district needs to put out. My only concern is, one of my concerns is enrollment. When does that start to affect our federal funds if enrollment keeps going down? And what do we need as a board to be concerned with?
Well, enrollment, it does affect everything that we do. So we have to make sure that the offices, programmatic offices that control that and that are keeping it that with Power School, that we are making sure that we have accurate records, that attendance is being taken and all of that. So we actually were talking about that in leadership today, about that. And so we just have to make sure we have that. At the point that it affects, that's when the formula will be determined. You put these numbers in the formula, the state then confirms that. You have to do the other factors such as the index of profitability and all of that. So those numbers that we have go into this formula, and then we come out with what our allocation is. And so we have to keep our hands on that temperature. My office does that, definitely during the budget prep season, we do that. And then we just have to depend on the district as a whole, keeping up with that in Power School, making sure our numbers are accurate.
Do you see in the future it's going to hurt us?
I'm hoping that we're going to see a trend where we're not losing students. I'm not sure about that. When we embark upon the FY25 budget cycle, I'll be definitely very, very close to that information again to see where we are and what are we looking like as far as a trend. So that's some information that I can give to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. A question, and I'm sorry, sir, I did not catch your name. My apologies.
No, it's all good. Brian Nicholson.
Mr. Nicholson, thank you for being here. Thank you for your presentation. And again, hats off to Ms. Spearman for you and your staff obviously working very hard to meet the deadlines and being cooperative, and we appreciate that. In one of the slides you presented, you talked that when you see the increase in expenditure, you really like to see the increase in the general fund balance. And that's a good indicator that you're being responsible, et cetera. Now, with the loss of ESSER funds, okay, that will decrease our income. There are programs that are being funded by ESSER that we will have to determine these are necessary programs, and we are going to have to start funding them ourselves. So that's going to look like the same expenditure, but it's going to bite into the general fund. Is that it's something that, because we're doing this, because of the reasons, is that perceived as an issue when something like that happens?
I wouldn't say it's an issue. It's definitely something to always be watching, because I didn't mention it, but the district has approximately maybe over 4 months in unassigned fund balance. So there is that cushion should the district decide to, dip into the reserves, so to speak, for the general fund. Now, you do just want to be considerate as you do that, just to make sure you're still going to meet that 1 month minimum. But
Right.
you do have 4 currently.
So
as
we
of
have,
6/30/23.
we have approximately 50 million, I think it
Mhm.
said
It's
on
like
it.
51.
Right, and so if we determine that we need $1.5 million, 2 million, 3 million to continue 2 or 3 programs, that's not a big dent in the general fund. So that wouldn't, again, be perceived as an issue.
I would say the resources are there should the district decide to do
Right,
that.
we have enough cushion that our using general fund for these things does not send up the red flags.
No, because at this point, like I said, you've got over 4 months. The state minimum is 8.3 or 1 month expenditures. I will say, that that minimum fund balance goes up as your expenditures go up. So just be on the lookout and make sure to watch those things as you really do the budget process. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
There are none? Okay. Wow. Okay, Brother Nicholson, I believe you getting by easy tonight, aren't you? Thank you so very much for your presentation.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, we'll ask our illustrious CFO to continue with items 5.6, 5.7.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Madam Spearman?
Yes, sir. To the board, I sit before you now giving you the fiscal year 24, November 2023 activity. To date, for local revenue, we received about 8.36% of our revenue. Again, our investment interests are coming in pretty heavily. Again, this is a number that we're trying to be conservative when budgeting, but we're keeping our temperature on that to make sure that we watch that number again. Also, as it relates to our state revenue, we've received a total of $38 million of our expected $122 million, which represents a 32% collection. We are receiving our federal impact aid dollars. We're already at approximately 73% of our budgeted amount expected. And we've made about $110,000 in transfers from indirect costs off of our grants. So to date, as of for November 2023, we've collected 27% of our general fund revenue to the tune of $42,046,803. As it relates to our expenditures, we have overall expended approximately 29% of that, which is 3% more than what we've collected. We had some items that were not budgeted, that we did not budget for, such as some Kelly services for building services that we needed to utilize, some construction services for FJ Delane, asphalt patchwork, and payments to other school districts when students move to other districts, when our students are being serviced by other districts, or what have you. So those expenditures have come out in addition to what we've expected, and we generally have about a 30% spend on our regular salaries, all of our salary lines on average. And so to date, we have, again, expended about 29% of our fiscal year '24 budget, which was approved at $158,311,255. If we were to quit operations today, we would have a fund balance of $51.2 million as for the activity of November 2023. Are there any questions regarding that activity?
Obviously, there are none.
I just have one question, Mr.
All
Chair.
right, I'm sorry.
For the ESSER funds, what are our plans of, are we looking at the programs to see what we need? Are we cutting some things? Are we ready to go that? Because especially we just came from a conference and I'm sure you're already on it. We've talked to this actually numerous times. What are we looking at? Can we cut things from the ESSER program that we have, or can it sunset, or is there some programs or some people that we can bring over and put in our general fund?
Well, now, we know that the quickest thing to do is to say we just pay it with the general fund, but we got to be very careful with that. So I'm in the process now of doing an ESSER 2 final, because I have not presented ESSER 2 final numbers because we've had to wait till some adjustments have been made. So I will present that at the top of the year for ESSER 2, and then what ESSER 3 is allocated for and what are we covering. What we did do for ESSER 3 is that we had some janitorial or some of those classified positions, and we were able to move those to ESSER 3. And so what we're doing now is looking at that, finalizing ESSER 2, then ESSER 3 is what we're going to have. We're going to have to make a decision on whether we can put those employees on general fund or maximize the dollars that we have. Looking into our classrooms, looking into what we have and maximizing those dollars, and then moving forward with that. So we will present a plan to this body on what we're going to do in the absence of ESSER funding.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
The final item that I will present to this body is the Fall 2023 Bond Proceeds Recommendation. For the Fall 2023 bond money, we received $7,627,754. We met with every contact, every department head in each of the 4 areas of maintenance, IT, fine arts, and athletics to determine a reasonable allocation of funding. The first thing that we do with these funds is we allocate 25% of this to IT. That is a requirement in order to get these funds. And so we did that, and IT has their recommendation on what they would like to utilize their monies for. The 4,500 Chromebooks, as you see on the list. The next item, of course, is our maintenance of our schools and our buildings. And so that came to the bulk of this money in the tune of $5.3 million. And these are the 22 items that we wish to utilize those funds for maintenance. We were also able to do an additional $50,000 to the Fine Arts Department for the fine arts items. Normally they received about $150,000. We were able to do $200,000. As these proceeds, we normally get about $6 to $6.2 million is normally what we get, but we got a little extra. So we were able to do that. And then finally, we always do athletic requests to the tune of about $50,000, because we do a transfer from the general fund over, I think, about $200,000 that we do to provide for athletics. So we wanted to give them the normal allocation that they utilize as well. All the hearts and minds were okay with this allocation. We present this to you for a decision to approve so that we can put these accounts in the system and these departments can begin utilizing these funds.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
It could be that I have, for whatever reason, I have no memory of the answer to this following question. Ms. Spearman. Item 8. I know we have 3 high schools, and I know in the discussions that I've heard, all 3 high schools have needs for their stadium, for things to be repaired in that stadium. Help me out. Why do we just have 1 listed?
I got this,
Okay.
brother. Crestwood High School does not have a dedicated stadium to that school. The other 2 do. So this is money that is designed to complete the Crestwood Stadium on that campus. Sumter High Schools, of course, is right down the street. It's dedicated to the school. Lakewood High School's stadium is on campus, actually. Crestwood High School, since the inception of the school, has actually played their games at the field, which belongs to Hillcrest Middle School. So that's the explanation for the difference.
And I guess my question, is there going, and sometime in the future, are there plans to help the other 2 schools with the, they need repair?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. As a part of our facilities plan, athletic facilities plan in general, we are significantly behind, to answer your question, Madam Vice Chair. But this particular money is designed to complete the Crestwood Stadium work on campus, so those games will be held on campus.
Okay, and I know we're talking about the bond, and that's a different issue, but
Right.
since we just talked about the fund balance being healthy, I mean, that might be something we want to discuss to help those stadiums get up to speed.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question. I thought we already had the funding. It was already dedicated to all 3 schools, the stadiums. So what happened to that?
No, well, that's part of a prior bond series.
So this is additional on top of that for Crestwood?
Yes.
Okay, and the status of all 3 schools, because we keep hearing over and over and over again that it's getting done.
Well, I think one of the things that you're probably referencing is
Like
that
the track and all
we
that.
had the tracks for all 3 high schools. The bids are out. Matter of fact, we'll be meeting tomorrow with pre-bids where they'll be going in and viewing those. So all 3 high schools will have their tracks resurfaced. And that's one thing. And then they're all at the stadium. So Crestwood would be on delay until we get the field and the stadium finished, and then that would be the last thing we would do.
Okay.
And also, I want this body to also know that these funds that we're talking about here are the same funds that we may have to reshape how we look at them. For instance, if we're going to embark upon a bond referendum, these are those funds that we would say, okay, we're getting X amount, and we're going to use this amount to help with certain items that we say we're going to cover in this bond referendum. So these are those funds. We may have to restructure how we utilize them for this purpose that we use them for now. So I just want you to know that those funds may look different, maybe look different if we embark upon the bond referendum piece.
Mr. Chair.
I got a question for Mr. Myers. We've been discussing about Crestwood Stadium for some time now, and we keep getting pushback of we basically don't know when exactly when these funds are approved for you guys to be used for the stadium. When exactly we can expect someone to actually go out there to get the job done? When can you give us a date or update that the process is going to start?
We're waiting on just one more permit to start the work. And matter of fact, we touched bases with them. We have 2, but we have the 3rd one that we have to receive before we can even get started. So.
And how long does it take to receive that permit?
Well, it's been maybe a couple of weeks before we got the first 2, and we're waiting on the 3rd one. We'll follow up tomorrow to see when that third one is going to be approved. I can't tell you when that would be, so we'll just have to follow up. And as soon as we do, we'll let you know. Once we get that, then the work can begin. We can put the bids out because they have to bid for that process. The bidding process would last approximately 25 to 30 days. And after that time, we'll make an award and be ready to get started.
Okay.
So, for clarification, Mr. Myers and Ms. Spearman, in Fund 528, we had an allocation of $250,000 for Crestwood. So we're saying this additional allocation brings it up to $500,000 that we have now towards Crestwood High School
Yes,
Stadium.
sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I want to ask a clarifying question. Ms. Spearman, line number 14 under maintenance, metal detectors and tablets. What are the tablets? Are those like, that's IT, electronics?
So iPads.
iPads?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And then my second question is, I don't know how long it's been now, but did the district have an auction?
We did.
Do we know what proceeds were brought in as a result of that auction? And are they published anywhere for us to know that amount?
They're not published yet. We're finalizing all of that, and as soon as we get that, we'll pass that along to Ms. Spearman. We'll make that available to you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Ma'am?
item number 3, it says plumbing improvements district-wide. I believe when we visited Sumter High School with Mr. Weston, I believe that was the principal asked that they be considered, that they really needed help. Now, does this item number 3, is that going to help Sumter High School with their plumbing issues?
Yes, ma'am. It's helping all of our schools. Matter of fact,
I'm just asking.
yes. Matter of fact, we're working at Sumter High and basically all of our schools, just trying to ensure that the older plumbing issues are addressed. So, yes, ma'am, that will definitely help Sumter High School.
I am fulfilling a promise I made. I would bring it to the attention, and that was the only thing she requested.
And I want to say something about that also. I understand that you're fulfilling that promise, but I feel that all the schools have these issues, and we've been fighting, asking questions. I've been ever since March of 2023, asking for a team to come through to fix these issues throughout these schools. We have several schools that are in horrible shape right now. And I just, wanted to make it clear, like, we're still fighting. I'm still that voice for these schools. Like I say, it's been March of 2023, we've been asking for this. So I'm hoping that going forward that somebody's going to be held accountable and get this done. Because I've been checking in with schools over the past weeks, and things that they've been putting in requests for, it has not been getting done. So I'm hoping that this can become a change once this is approved.
You're absolutely right. Each time we find that issues that we need to address, we address them. We're not only utilizing our plumbing teams, which we were down to just one person until a few weeks ago, but we're using outside plumbing companies to actually take on some of those things, and they're working now. So some of the things that you're talking about, it goes further back than just 2023. It goes back, and we've been addressing those issues all along. So once we fix certain things and we put pressure on one side, it causes something else to go out with the old piping systems, 60, 70-year-old piping systems. Things are going to go down. And
So you said you were down to one? You were down to one staff member when it come down to that? You were down to one, that's what you said? We were.
But now we're back up to 3. We just hired.
How long you were down those staff members?
It fluctuated. It may have been a couple of months, but we're back up to 3 persons now. but still, 3 persons cannot handle the magnitude of things.
Absolutely not.
And that's why we've gone to outside companies to assist, and we've got 3 to 4 companies that are working on things as
Who
we speak.
responsible for bringing these companies in?
Who?
Yeah, who's responsible for getting these companies in?
Team and I,
You said who?
the operations team and myself.
Okay.
And, right, and procurement.
Absolutely. And is there a process of bringing them in?
Well,
Is it a long process, or can you brief us on that?
not a long process. We try to look locally first so that we won't have to go so far away because we pay more to companies that are coming from out of town. If we look local, which we have a lot of local units, and then there are some who don't want to take on the magnitude of work that we have that's going on. So we try to stay local if we can, and we do have some companies that are out of town. And we just have to bite the bullet and make the payments to them because we have to get the work done.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, me again, Mr. Myers.
Yes.
I know, just like with our homes, unexpected things happen.
Correct.
You wake up in the morning and you have a leak, that kind of stuff. But you also have a plan if you want to renovate your home. You have a plan, have a budget and all this. And that inevitable wake up in the morning to water in the floor happens. Is it safe for the board to assume that you actually have a detailed plan aimed at knowing where the worst problems are so that we're not the little boy in the dike, sticking his finger in when there's a hole kind of thing? Are you looking at it from that perspective? Like at home, I want to replace my dishwasher before something else because it's a more major problem. So is that your approach as well?
Yes, it
Looking at
is.
the worst?
Yes, it is. We've had a plan where we've completed several schools. We just completed 3 to 4 schools just maybe a month or so ago, and we have others that are in line to get started with because we can't wait until the rainy season to do that. And we already know from the different types of inspections that have been done and from some of the leaky roofs, we know where to go, and we will get that started very, very soon. But we have companies that do go and address those things as they occur. But we've got a plan going forward. Yes, we do.
The plan now.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
One more
Mr.
question.
Chair, I
Oh,
have a question.
Go ahead.
On line number 19, and I'm not sure if this is edge in stone yet or not, but the golf carts, those is $42,000 for the golf carts for all 3 high schools. Were there requests from the high schools to get those golf carts? And if they're not really needed, I've been hollering about fine arts and the band programs and uniforms and whatnot. So if we could take that money and move to fine arts, how would that work?
Well, in reference to the golf carts, our high schools have made requests because the ones that they have are very, very old. And they're the ones that utilize those golf carts with the wide array of covering, going from point A to point B around the campus. They've got some needs for athletics as well. But if there are any of those funds after we've looked at the exact cost of that, we could go to Ms. Spearman and see how we might be able to reallocate some of that to go toward what you have requested.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Chair, speaking of what Dr. Reagan just brought up, as we look at the schools, and you said you did go, Ms. Spearman, to the schools to ask what some of their needs were, I don't know if that even came up Dr. Reagan, but I know it is something that has been in the background. But I just wanted to ask a clarifying question around line 14 again. Why are those tablets listed there instead of under IT? Is it a different type of tablet? Is it?
Well, those are ones we're working to get to go along with those
With the metal
detectors.
detectors?
Right, that's right.
Okay, all
Now,
right.
IT would be a part of that in making sure we got the right ones.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay,
yes,
all right. Thank you for clarifying that.
Right.
I have one more
The
question.
tablets are used for detection, so
Right.
once we, yes, ma'am.
One more question, Mr. Myers, this is the last question. On the plumbing, on line 3 again, far as the plumbing issue, are we actually, once we're fixing these issues at these schools, are we taking each accountability for each of these issues and kind of document what are we doing at these schools?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you be able to, once every, school is done, would you be able to present that to the board?
Sure.
And I mean, I'll say, we're not gonna say once every school, because it's gonna take time. I'll say at least every 3 months going forward, present us with something that you guys are doing.
Sure.
And I think that'll help as well, because it's a lot of issues that throughout these schools that need to be taken care of. So I'll say, I wouldn't even say, I'm not gonna say wait till it's done. Every 3 months, present us with a school that they actually went in,
Sure.
and what else that needs to be done as far as getting these schools completed.
We can do that, and we
Thank
can
you.
also provide you with schools that have those major issues that down the road we've got to make sure we do, but we'll provide that to you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, questions? Once? Twice? 3 times? Thank the 2 of you again. All right, have a good evening.
Mr. Chair, at this time, I think that concludes the superintendent's report for December 11th, 2023.
Thank you, sir. All right. Item 6. Motion for executive session.
Mr. Chair, I motion to enter into executive session for a discussion of individual student matter or matters, transfers, in and out of district, and the monthly personnel report, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, termination, and/or release of an employee.
Second.
The motion is supported. If there is no discussion, you may proceed to the vote. Thank you. We'll enter into executive session. actions required.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion to approve the personnel report for Monday, December 11th, 2023, as presented. This first one popped up, sorry.
Is it supported? I'm sorry.
She has to back up.
Mr. Chairman, I was out of order. I apologize.
Okay.
I jumped the gun.
The first one should be students ABC and
Mr. Chair, I motion to allow student A, B, C, and D to attend school in Sumter School District for the 2023-24 school year.
Mr. Chair, I second.
Motion is supported that student A, B, and C be allowed to attend, and D be allowed to attend school in the Sumter District in the new school year. Is there any discussion? If not, you may vote your conviction.
Vote passes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I motion to allow student A to be released from Sumter School District for the 2023-2024 school year.
Second.
Motion and second that student A be allowed to be released from the Sumter School District for the new school year. The motion is supported. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, you may proceed to the vote.
Vote passes.
All right, it passes.
The motion to approve the fall bond proceeds capital project recommendation at this time.
Second.
Motion is supported on the bond. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to the vote.
Vote passes. Next is personnel report.
Do we need the calendar?
That's the third one.
Personnel report.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I remake the motion to agree to approve the personnel report for Monday, December 11th, 2023, as presented.
Mr. Chair, I second that vote.
You heard the motion and second. It is supported. The monthly personnel report. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, you may proceed to the vote. Excuse me.
Vote passes.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to approve the school year 2024-2025 academic calendar as presented.
Is the motion supported?
Second.
Motion is supported on the 24-25 calendar. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to the vote.
Vote passes.
Passed. All right. If there are no objections, the consent agenda, item 9.1, will stand approved. wish for each of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. The meeting is now adjourned.